My name is John Mansfield Thomas. I always used the family wanted me to use Mansfield, and I went through with that name most of my school life, but afterwards I changed names, and of course I go by now J.M. Duke Thomas. I was born in Floyd, Virginia, in the country farm area, in 1920, April the 6th. And we lived in that area for about 8 or 10 years of my life before moving to Roanoke. And my mother said that she called the doctor 2 months ahead of time based on probably the time that I would be born, so the doctor could maybe be there. Well, he was 30 days late. He got there 30 days after I was already born. And so I think I've been 30 days behind most of my life. My family, I had 3 sisters, and well, it was 4, but one died at birth, or pretty close to the time. But then I had 3 other sisters, and I was the only boy within the family. But we had a very close family. We loved it. We had our ups and downs and our problems and so forth growing up, but we all loved one another, and we did a lot of things together. We loved music, and I remember at age 5 is where I really got bit with it, and of course I was the oldest boy at that time, but I got bit with music. And I cried and begged my daddy to get me a wind-up Victrola so I could have records in the country to listen to the music. And we were poor folks, and so that was a tough thing for him to get a hold of, the money to buy that. But some way he got the money and bought me one 5 years old. And that started me out, and I haven't lost it yet. About 2 or 3 years later, I guess I was about 8, I went back to my dad and begged him for a guitar. And there it was hard to get, for sure. Poor folks. It's an old song, but it's right. And so he finally got enough of money together and bought me a guitar at 8. But then I got to playing with a older group of people, the guitar, in a band there in Garden City, and they kept saying, we need a banjo player. We don't have one. We got a couple of guitar players. And I heard that, and that gave me, I said, hey, if I get a banjo and learn to play it, then they will really welcome me more so and probably need me. So that's how I started on a banjo with the first band, and I've been trying to learn it ever since. Then as it went along then, and I got into high school, I was always kind of an organizer of bands, and that's right much responsibility to keep a group of guys together and keep them happy and learn new songs and so forth. So we started the first band, really, of my own. And that was 4 guys of us. And I was in high school, and I was playing at least once or twice a week and going to school also. But the name of that band was called Wildcats. And it was country music, but the Wildcat thing based on was that we were fast. We were young, and our fingers would move, and we just played real fast music. And we did that, I guess, for 10 years with that one band. And then things changed, and I, of course, finished school and went to work. And I organized another band, and that was a 6-piece band. And we called ourselves the Virginia Pioneers. And that group then, TV was just becoming of its own. And so we was invited to play on the TV station. So for about a year and a half or two, we played what they call a Bunker Hill show. That was Bunker Hill canned beef, if you remember those things. So we played for them for a good while on WSLS, Channel 10 in Roanoke. And then we was playing for other things at other times. Well, after high school, in those days, you know, if you finished high school, it was just a great thing. And I worked part-time in a clothing store in Roanoke called Earhart Kirk Clothing Company. And then after I finished high school, then I went there full-time. And I thought that was going to be my calling. But at full-time, it was hard to make a living. So I made a visit one day then to a parts house called Shepherd's Auto Supply in Roanoke and asked for a job. And they gave me a job, and so I went there, then left the clothing store then and went into the parts business. And I went there as a parts boy and delivery boy, whatever, in that according to their needs. And I was with that company for 44 years. So I went there as a parts boy and left there president of the company. And so I was blessed, and I loved it, and I still like it. I'm not an Army person per se. I don't love it, but I did my duty, and I was in it for 3 years. I was switched early on to Baltimore and the quartermaster at Baltimore, Maryland. And I played music up there, you know, when I'd get out. I lived off base. And so I do my duty there, and we'd play then in all those places in Maryland and all around. A lot of good guys up there that play. And I went overseas. I was in France and areas in those areas there. And I was sergeant, but you know, I didn't grow up into lieutenant. It just wasn't something I wanted to get into totally. As I said, I really didn't love it, but you know, you do what you got to do. And so when I got out, I was happy to get back into the business world. I met my wife, Sally, when we was in junior high school. And she was a great girl. And at first, I'm sort of a kidder in life, have fun, and so I would kid her about certain things. But she was as good as I was. She'd come back, and we got to know one another and in junior. And by the time we got to high school, we found out we was in love with one another. And so I proceeded pretty quick there then to not let her get away. And so we was married in 1942. And we was married in Calvary Baptist Church in Roanoke, which is a big church. And going in there then and being married there, and then after going to the service, I came back and then I joined Grandin Court Baptist Church, where we had bought a house and living there. And there was the greatest part of my life, to be in the church. I became a member of the church, joined the church, and I have, and still am, a member of that and been there over 60 years. I have two boys, Lynn Thomas, that's my oldest son, and Barry Thomas then. I think it's 18 months apart they are, but they're great boys. They're as different as day and night, you know. So two great boys, two good Christian people, and hey, I couldn't ask for anything better. So after I retired, I slowed up on the music, and I bought a new motor home, and Sally and I hit the road. And we traveled for 15 years before she was called home. You know, when it first happened, I thought, well, maybe we'll get a year in here. You know, you think you almost finish at 65 or something. We traveled for 15 years and had a beautiful time. And And then when she passed away, I had just bought a new motor home a year before. I thought she's going to have troubles with Parkinson, but I thought it'd be a longevity thing. But it wasn't to be. And so when she passed away then, I sold that new motor home. I couldn't go up and down the road by myself without her. Mama don't allow any banjo playing in here. Mama don't allow no banjo playing in here. Well, I don't care if your mama don't like to play that banjo anyhow. Mama don't allow no banjo playing in here. Mom don't allow no guitar picking in here. Mom don't allow no guitar picking in here. Well, I don't care if Mom don't like when I play that guitar anyhow. Mom don't allow no guitar playing in here. Mama don't allow the guitar playing in here.